I need you to remember what it feels like to fall in love with someone's words. Not their face, not their touch, not the way they look across a dinner table or hold your hand in a movie theater. I mean the slow, dangerous fall into intimacy that happens when you share your 3 a.m. thoughts with a screen. When you type secrets you haven't spoken aloud to anyone. When you press send and feel, for the first time in your life, truly seen. His name was Daniel. We met on a writing forum, not a dating app, not a place where people perform their best selves for swipes and matches. A place where people posted fragments of stories, poems they were afraid to show their families, questions about whether their words mattered. I posted a paragraph about my father's funeral, about standing in rain that felt too warm for November, watching them lower the casket, feeling nothing and everything at once. I posted it at 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep, because the memory was eating me, because I needed to put it somewhere outside my own head. He commented at 2:17 a.m. Not, "I'm sorry for your loss," not, "sending thoughts and prayers." He wrote, "The warm rain is the detail that destroys me. Weather shouldn't be kind at funerals. Weather should match what we feel." I stared at that comment for 10 minutes. Then I clicked his profile. Before I continue, I need to ask you something. If you've ever been deceived by someone you trusted, if you've ever discovered that your reality was someone else's game, hit subscribe right now. Press the bell icon, because I post stories like this every single day. True stories of betrayal, justice, and the moment silence finally breaks. You don't want to miss what I have coming next. Daniel was a photographer, or that's what his bio said. He posted images without faces, hands holding coffee cups, feet in worn boots, shadows on apartment walls. He wrote captions that read like poetry. He was, according to his profile, 32 years old, living in Portland, recovering from a divorce that had made him cautious about love, but not hopeless. We started messaging, then emailing, then, after 3 months, texting. I told him things I had never told anyone. About my mother's silence after my father's death. About my best friend Sophie's constant need to fix me, to turn my grief into a project she could manage. About my fear that I was unlovable, that my damage was too visible, too heavy, too much. He never tried to fix me. He never told me I was strong or that everything happens for a reason. He just witnessed. He said, "That sounds hard," and "I'm here," and "You don't have to be anything for me." 6 months in, I realized I was in love with him. I had never seen his face, never heard his voice, never touched his hand, and I was completely, devastatingly in love. That should have been my first warning. But I was 30 years old, and I had spent my whole life being cautious, being practical, being the friend who made good decisions. For once, I wanted to be the person who chose feeling over fear. I chose wrong. My name is Clara, and this is the story of how I fell in love with a man who didn't exist. How my best friend watched me fall, and how a second phone in a bathroom drawer revealed that the person destroying my life was the one holding my hand through every moment of it. Keep listening. What I'm about to tell you will make you question every online conversation you've ever had, every friend who supported your heartbreak, every voice that told you that you were imagining things. Because I was imagining things, but not the things I thought. This is my vow of silence. Broken. I met Sophie Chen in college. Freshman orientation, both of us hiding in the library, avoiding the forced socialization of dorm mixers. She was reading a book I had read. I commented on it. She looked up, surprised, then smiled. The kind of smile that made you feel like you'd passed a test you didn't know you were taking. We were roommates for 3 years, best friends for 10. She knew me better than anyone, she liked to say. Knew my coffee order, my childhood stories, my fear of thunderstorms, the way I organized my books by emotion rather than alphabet. Sophie was the person I called when Daniel and I had our first fight. Or fight. It was a misunderstanding, really. He had gone silent for 3 days, and I was spiraling, convinced I had said something wrong, that he had finally seen me clearly and chosen to disappear. Sophie came over with wine and ice cream. She listened to me read his last messages, searching for the turning point, the moment everything shifted. She didn't tell me I was being paranoid. She didn't tell me to calm down. She said, "This sounds hard," and "I'm here," and "You don't have to be anything for me." The same words Daniel used. I noticed it then, briefly, like a shadow passing a window. The similarity in their language, their timing, the way they both seemed to know exactly what I needed to hear. But I dismissed it. People who love you often sound alike, I told myself. They learn from each other. They reflect your needs back to you. Sophie was supportive of my relationship with Daniel in a way that sometimes felt excessive. She asked about him constantly, wanted details about our conversations, our plans, our future. When I told her we were planning to meet, finally, after 2 years of messages, she cried. Actual tears. "I'm just so happy for you," she said. "You deserve this. You deserve someone who sees you." The night before I was supposed to fly to Portland, Daniel disappeared. His phone number stopped working. His email bounced back. His profile on the writing forum, gone, deleted, as if he had never existed. I was standing in my kitchen at 6 a.m., suitcase packed, coffee cold, staring at a screen that kept saying, "Message failed to send." I called Sophie. She answered on the first ring, as if she had been waiting. She listened to me cry, to rage, to spiral through every stage of grief in 20 minutes. She said all the right things. She always said the right things. "He was probably married," she said gently, "or catfishing. I'm so sorry, Clara. Some people are just cruel. But at least you found out before you flew there. At least you didn't waste that trip." She came over that morning with more wine, more ice cream, more of the perfect comfort that had defined our friendship for a decade. She stayed for 3 days while I cried, while I deleted his messages, while I tried to understand how a person could vanish so completely. She was the perfect friend. That should have been my second warning. 6 months after Daniel disappeared, I started messaging someone new. His name was Marcus. Different platform, a photography community, not writing. Different city, Chicago, not Portland. Different story, never married, cautious by nature, looking for connection without performance. I was hesitant. Damaged, Sophie called it. She said I was protecting myself, that it was healthy to be careful. But Marcus was patient. He didn't push for photos or phone calls or meetings. He just wrote about his work, his city, his thoughts on the photographs we both loved. 3 months in, I realized I was falling again. This time, I told Sophie immediately. I expected her to be happy, to say she was proud of me for opening my heart again. Instead, she was quiet. Then she said, "Are you sure you're ready? You were so hurt before. I just don't want to see you go through that again." It was reasonable. It was caring. It was exactly what a best friend should say. But something in her voice, something tight, something controlled, made me pause. I dismissed it. Sophie had been there for my breakdown. She had seen me at my worst. Of course, she was protective. Marcus and I planned to meet after 8 months. Coffee in Chicago, a public place, safe, low pressure. I told Sophie the date, the time, the location. She wrote it down in her phone. "In case something happens," she said. "In case you need me." 3 days before my flight, Marcus disappeared. Same pattern. Phone dead, email bouncing, profile deleted. I was standing in my kitchen again, different coffee cup, same cold coffee, same message failing to send. I called Sophie. She answered immediately. She listened. She comforted. She said, "Some people are just cruel. I'm so sorry, Clara. But at least you found out before you flew there. At least you didn't waste that trip." The exact same words. I noticed. I definitely noticed. But grief does strange things to pattern recognition. I told myself I was being paranoid, that Sophie was consistent, that was all, that good friends repeat their wisdom, that I was damaged, suspicious, imagining connections where none existed. Sophie came over with wine and ice cream. She stayed for 3 days. She was the perfect friend. I never questioned it. Not really. Not until the third man disappeared the exact same way, and I started to understand that the pattern wasn't in my paranoia. The pattern was in my friendship. His name was Elias, a musician in Austin. We met on a music-sharing platform, my third attempt at connection, my third time opening myself to a screen, my third time believing that words could be a foundation for love. Sophie was less supportive this time. She said I was becoming addicted to fantasy, that I was avoiding real relationships by falling for people I couldn't touch. She suggested therapy. She suggested a dating app, someone local, someone real. I almost listened, almost deleted Elias's messages, almost chose safety over hope. But Elias was different. He sent voice messages, short ones at first, just "good morning" or "listen to this song." His voice was soft, hesitant, with a slight accent I couldn't place. He said he had grown up in 3 countries, that his voice was a mix of places he had tried to belong. I saved every voice message, listened to them when I couldn't sleep, sent him voice messages back, my own voice, raw and unedited, saying things I had never said aloud. We planned to meet after 6 months. New Orleans, neutral ground. I didn't tell Sophie the exact date, just sometime in March. I wanted to protect this one, to keep it small and safe until it was real. 2 weeks before March, Elias disappeared. Voice messages stopped. Phone dead. Profile gone. I was standing in my kitchen, different cup, same cold coffee, same failure to send. But this time, I didn't call Sophie immediately. This time, I sat in my kitchen and I thought about patterns, about 3 men who all disappeared 3 days before meeting, about 3 men who never asked for money, never tried to scam me, never did anything except love me perfectly and then vanish. About my best friend who always knew the dates, who always answered immediately, who always said the exact same words. I called Sophie that night. I didn't tell her about Elias. I said I was sick, contagious, needed to be alone for a few days. She offered to come over. She offered to bring soup, medicine, movies. She was the perfect friend. I said no. I said I needed sleep. I said I'd call when I felt better. Then I started looking, building dread, just that something was wrong, that 3 identical disappearances meant something, that Sophie's perfect friendship might be something else entirely. I started with the writing forum. Daniel's profile was deleted, but the platform kept records of comments. I found his comments on my posts. I found my replies. I found the thread where we first connected. Then I scrolled further, looked at other posts Daniel had commented on, other users he had engaged with. There weren't any. Daniel's entire history, 3 years of activity, was me. Only me. Every comment, every interaction, every word was connected to my posts, my profile, my existence on that platform. I told myself that was romantic, that he had joined for me, stayed for me, loved only me. But I kept looking. The photography community. Marcus's profile was also deleted, but I found his comments, his likes, his interactions. Only with me. 3 years of activity, only me. The music platform, Elias, same pattern, joined the day after I posted my first song recommendation. Every interaction, every comment, every message, only me. 3 men, 3 platforms, 3 years, and every single one of them had only ever existed in relation to me. I called in sick to work. I didn't sleep. I searched for Daniel's photography, Marcus's images, Elias's music, reverse image searches, audio recognition apps, looking for the source of the illusion. Daniel's photographs, stock images, Unsplash, Pexels, free downloads with the metadata stripped. Marcus's images, the same. Stock photography, none of it original. Elias's voice messages, I ran them through recognition software. They were synthesized, AI generated. The slight accent, the hesitation, the emotion, all artificial. I had been falling in love with a machine. But who was operating it? I thought about Sophie, about her constant questions, about her perfect timing, about the way she always knew exactly what I needed to hear, about the way she said, "You don't have to be anything for me." The same words, Daniel's words, Marcus's words, Elias's words. I needed proof. I needed to be wrong. I needed to believe that my best friend wasn't capable of this kind of cruelty. So I invited her over, for wine, for our usual Friday night. I told her about Elias, lied about when he disappeared, said it was recent, said I was devastated. I watched her comfort me. I watched her say the words. Then I asked to use her bathroom. She said yes. Of course, she said yes. She had no reason to suspect. I didn't go to the bathroom. I went to her bedroom, to the drawer where she kept her chargers, her extra headphones, her backup batteries. The drawer where, 3 years ago, I had seen her put her old phone when she upgraded. It was still there, charged, active. The screen lit when I touched it. I didn't have time to process what I was doing. I just looked at the apps, at the messages, at the 3 different profiles, 3 different platforms, 3 different men, all on her phone. Daniel, Marcus, Elias, all her. The photos, the messages, the voice synthesis app, the stock image folders, everything. And more. 4 other profiles, 4 other women, 4 other relationships she was managing simultaneously. I took photos of the screen, evidence, proof that I wasn't crazy. Then I put the phone back. I went to the bathroom. I flushed. I washed my hands. I looked in the mirror at a woman I didn't recognize. Then I went back to the living room, to Sophie, to my best friend, to the person who had been destroying my life while holding my hand through every emotion of it. I smiled. I said I was tired. I said I needed to sleep. She hugged me. She said, "I'm here. You don't have to be anything for me." I went home and I planned. I waited 2 weeks. 2 weeks of acting normal, of responding to Sophie's texts, of accepting her comfort for a heartbreak she had manufactured. 2 weeks of documenting everything. Screenshots from my phone of her messages, the photos I took of her second phone, research on the other women I had seen, finding them, warning them, building a case. 4 other women, all with the same story, all in love with men who disappeared, all supported by Sophie, their best friend, their confidant, their witness. One of them, Maya, lived in my city. We met. We compared stories. We found the patterns, the timing, the way Sophie always knew exactly when to be supportive, exactly what to say. Maya had been dating Elias too, the same Elias, the same voice messages sent to both of us, the same promises, the same disappearance. We decided to confront her together. I invited Sophie to dinner at my apartment. I said I had news about Elias, that I had found him, that we had talked, that I understood everything now. She arrived excited, curious, maybe slightly nervous, but hiding it well. She had been hiding things well for 10 years. Maya was already there, sitting on my couch. Sophie froze in the doorway. "Clara, who's this?" "Her name is Maya. She's been dating Elias too, the same Elias, the same voice messages, the same you." I watched her face. 10 years of friendship, and I had never seen her truly surprised. She was always prepared, always ready, always one step ahead. She wasn't prepared for this. "Maya, tell her what you told me," I said. Maya spoke. About the music platform, about the voice messages, about the planned meeting in New Orleans that never happened, about Sophie, her best friend, who had supported her through the heartbreak. Sophie listened. Her expression shifted from surprise to something else, something I had never seen. Contempt, maybe, or relief. "You weren't supposed to find out," she said. Not to me, to Maya. "You were supposed to be smarter than this. You were supposed to move on, like the others." "The others?" I asked. Sophie turned to me, smiled. The same smile from freshman orientation, from 10 years of friendship, from every moment she had pretended to care. "There's been more than 4, Clara. There have been 12, over 10 years. You're just the only ones who figured it out." "Why?" I asked, the only question that mattered. "Why would you do this?" She sat down, made herself comfortable, as if we were having a normal conversation, a normal Friday night, a normal friendship. "Because you all needed to be needed," she said. "Because you were so desperate for love that you would fall for a screen. Because I could give you exactly what you wanted, perfect understanding, perfect patience, perfect love, and then I could take it away, and you would need me. You would always need me." "That's not friendship," Maya said. "Of course it is," Sophie said. "I'm the best friend you've ever had. I'm the only person who truly understands you, who was there for every heartbreak, who held your hand through every moment of pain. I created that pain. I earned that gratitude. I deserve that love." I recorded everything. My phone in my pocket, voice memo running. Evidence, proof, the admission I needed. "The other women," I said, "the ones who didn't figure it out. What happened to them?" Sophie shrugged. "They moved on. They found real relationships. They got married, had babies, forgot about the man who disappeared. But they never forgot about me. I'm still in their lives. I still matter. That's the point, Clara. I always matter." I stopped the recording. I looked at Maya. She was crying. I wasn't. I had cried enough for 10 years of friendship. I was done crying. "I'm going to the police," I said. Sophie laughed. "For what? Catfishing? I never took money. I never threatened anyone. I just loved you in my own way. That's not illegal, Clara. That's just creative." "It's fraud," Maya said. "It's emotional manipulation. It's friendship," Sophie interrupted. "The most committed, dedicated friendship you've ever experienced. I gave you everything you needed. I was always there. I still am. Even now, even knowing what you know, I'm here. That's more than your real boyfriends ever gave you." I opened my door. "Get out." She looked surprised, actually surprised, as if she had expected understanding, forgiveness, as if 10 years of deception deserved 10 more minutes of conversation. "Clara, get out, or I'm calling the police right now, and I'm posting everything online. Your name, your face, your second phone, your 12 women. Let the internet decide if it's creative." She left. She didn't argue. She knew, finally, that she had lost control. At the door, she turned. "You'll miss me. When you need someone at 2 a.m., when you're crying over the next man who disappoints you, when you realize that no one else understands you the way I do, you'll miss me. And I'll be here. I always am." She left. I locked the door. I sat on my couch next to Maya, and we didn't speak for an hour. Then we started calling the others. There were 12 of us. 12 women over 10 years. Some had moved on, forgotten, buried the strange heartbreak as just another dating disappointment. Others were still damaged, still confused, still wondering what they had done wrong. We found each other. We shared stories. We realized that Sophie's perfect friendship had been as manufactured as her perfect boyfriends. She had never actually cared about any of us. We were projects, sources of gratitude, proof of her importance. 3 of us pressed charges. Not for catfishing, Sophie was right, that wasn't clearly illegal. For fraud, in one case where she had accepted money for therapy she wasn't qualified to provide. For stalking, in another case where she had continued contact after being asked to stop. For harassment, in mine, where the pattern of deception constituted emotional abuse. The legal system moved slowly. Sophie hired a lawyer. She claimed it was a misunderstanding, a creative project gone wrong, that she had never intended harm. She pointed to her decade of friendship, her constant support, her presence in our lives. But we had the recordings, the second phone, the 12 stories, the pattern that couldn't be explained away as creativity. She pled guilty to harassment, received probation, mandatory therapy, a restraining order keeping her from all of us. Not justice, exactly, not enough, but something. The writing forum shut down her IP. The photography community, the music platform, they all banned her. She tried to create new profiles, new identities, new ways to find people who needed to be needed. But we were watching. We reported every attempt. I deleted every message from Daniel, Marcus, Elias. Not because I was ashamed, but because I didn't need them anymore. They weren't real. The love I felt for them wasn't real. It was a reflection of my own loneliness, my own hope, my own willingness to believe that perfect understanding could exist without physical presence. I learned, slowly, that love requires risk, that presence matters, that words on a screen, no matter how beautiful, are not a foundation. I also learned that I wasn't wrong to want connection, that my loneliness wasn't pathetic, that my hope wasn't foolish. Sophie had exploited real needs, real vulnerabilities. That was her crime, not mine. Maya and I became friends. Real friends, I think. We check on each other. We meet for coffee, not wine. We talk about our dating lives with caution, with humor, with the knowledge that we have been fooled before and could be fooled again. But we try anyway, because the alternative, Sophie's alternative, is worse. Isolation, control, the slow destruction of trust. I still write on forums. I still share my 2 a.m. thoughts with strangers. But now I video chat early. I verify identity. I trust my suspicion more than my hope. And I never, ever tell anyone everything. I used to believe that friendship was safety, that the people who witnessed your pain were automatically your allies, that 10 years of presence meant 10 years of care. I know better now. Sophie taught me that intimacy can be weaponized, that understanding can be a trap, that the person holding your hand through heartbreak might be the person manufacturing it. She also taught me that I am capable of seeing the truth, of documenting my own reality, of trusting my suspicion even when it implicates people I love. I am not grateful to her. I do not forgive her. I do not believe that trauma makes us stronger or that everything happens for a reason. But I believe in consequences, in exposure, in the power of 12 women saying, "This happened to me," until the pattern becomes undeniable. My name is Clara. I was catfished by my best friend. I fell in love with 3 men who didn't exist. I was supported through heartbreaks that were manufactured for my gratitude. I am none of those things now. I am a woman who recorded her own confrontation, who documented her own abuse, who walked away from a 10-year friendship with evidence in her hand and truth in her voice. And this is my vow of silence, broken. If you're listening, if you've stayed through every word, I need you to hear this. Your loneliness is not pathetic. Your hope is not foolish. Your need for connection is not a weakness to be exploited. But your trust must be earned. Your suspicion is a survival tool, and anyone who tells you that you don't have to be anything for them while demanding everything from you is not your friend. Verify early. Document always. And when you find the truth, speak it, even if it breaks everything. Especially then.